And here we are. Ladies and gents, it's Sunday Live. What's happening? Everybody hear me okay? Sound seem good? Just going to double check. Yeah, looks good to me over here. Looks good. A little hot, if anything. Well, let me know if it sounds weird. Let's see. Let's dive right in here. We've got Dan, and he says he's on a French double-decker train across Spain to Madrid. And he's in the buffet car going 300 kilometers per hour. That sounds lovely. And he's watching the show from there. That's pretty cool. How's this modern tech? You've got internet on these trains and you can go 300 kilometers an hour. What do you guys think of my, desaturated, out of focus background view? Whatever you call it. What do you call that? Thought I'd try it for today. One of the fun things you can do on a new Mac. Oh my goodness. What happened this week? I just put out a video for the Boostopia. It's this guy right here. Sutton Instruments, nice folks from England. Small company. Oh, it doesn't want to focus either. I see some of the limitations. Yeah, really nice pedal. Can be a great sort of fine tuner if you've got a problematic amp or not even a problematic amp, just even if you've got a good amp and then you just want to augment it. Pretty cool. Todd says, going to Italy. You know what I am? I'm headed over there to do something with IK next week. So I'll be over there for a little bit. Looking forward to it. About a week I'll be there. Should be fun. It's a long, long flight. But that's okay. I go to Heathrow and then change planes and then about another couple hours or whatever, I think, to get where I'm going. Should be pretty cool. Just got to mind over matter, that stuff these days. The long flights. Bring AirPods. AirPods are the best, man. I've talked about that before, but really digging them. They're super helpful. People won't be able to see the gear with the blurry background. I kind of like it. You might be right, though. All right, let's... there. You prefer it? Kind of neat, right? I don't know. Options. I'm going to leave it on for a little while. I kind of dig it. Just for fun. You can do all kinds of crazy stuff. How about this one? Well, that's kind of cool, actually. Like that. All right. New Mac monitor. Black Beauty Les Paul looks and sounds the business. It's my Les Paul is a I think I got it around 2000, and it's just a run-of-the-mill US Les Paul custom, and it's a really, really, really good guitar. So I used it in that video. I love that guitar. It's been a great guitar to just kind of, I don't know. I should take it to use in Classic Rock Show, actually. It's kind of my Les Paul. It'd be fun to oh, I see what it does. Does the camera follow me when I use this? Yes, it does. So creepy. Yeah, but anyways, I should take it and use it in Classic Rock Show one of these years. It's cool looking too. Oh, yeah. Let's see. We got Lauren there. Did you ever do the back and forth thing with Jewel? She sings a lick and you copy on guitar. I've done that with Melissa and with others. I feel like I'm not very good at that. Like it's one of the things that I could maybe get better at, but I feel like I'm not. Some people are really good at that. It's kind of like a blues guy thing, I feel like. And I just feel like I'm not the best at doing that call, answer, repeat the lick thing. We didn't really do that when I played with Jewel, but let's see. Love that little ditty you played on the Boostopia demo. Hope you worked that into full-blown composition. I would love to hear more. Killer sound and chops. Thanks. I appreciate it. My favorite thing I did recently was for that new Soldano module. where I thought, oh, I like this little riff and I like where it goes, and I could actually turn it into a tune or expand upon it. But anyway, more to come. This week I won't really have. I'm working on 2 videos, but it's for 2 things that aren't coming out. They're both unfortunately coming out on the same day, which is the 18th of this month. So I'll have a couple videos out within a day of each other for 2 new things that they're both cool products, but that's pushing out videos beyond this week, so there won't be anything new coming this week for demo stuff. But anyway, I am working on a couple, and there'll be 2 released all at once. So quad cortex versus synergy, I mean, totally different, you know. It's like totally different. I just feel like you know, one being a modeler multi-effect and the other one being a tube preamp. There's some crossover, I guess, but they're going to appeal to different people and stuff and be used for different things, I think. Yeah. Cable length for live. That's a good question. 20 or 30 feet. I would never go 30 because I feel like I get too much high end loss. 20 or 25 I've gone when I needed it. It's good to have, like, if you're a wireless user and you're used to being able to run around and you play on kind of a big stage, I find a 25 is almost necessary because of the just the extra, like, whenever I've used a 20, I've always been like, okay, I'm going to snag on the pedal board if I go all the way over here to you know, stage right. I'm trying to like play with, you know, James or something in classic rock show, and I can't quite make it. Like, you don't want that. So but you're definitely going to get some high end loss, and I feel like the center stage thing is driving me crazy a little bit, so I'm going to turn that off. So I would go 25, just long story short, as a, you know, and make sure it's good low capacitance cable. You know, just pick and choose, like find something that's, put a little time in, a little research in, find something that's low capacitance if you're going to go that long, because you'll definitely, anything beyond 10 I hear easily. You know, some people say 18 is like the magic number, because it can be a good thing. You know, it can be nice. I do like the sound of a good 10 or of a good 10 to 20 foot cable. When we start getting to 25, I'm starting to hear it get pretty dark, you know, just for me, you know, lose the sparkle kind of thing. It'd be great with high gain or lots of distortion, you know, it's not as bad of a thing, but yeah. You could pick out a few demo tune ideas that might be made into longer standalone songs. That's what I did on Pete Thorn too. That was some of the stuff on there started life as demos, you know. The In Good Company started life as a Bogner compressor demo, I think, you know. And then I just expanded upon it. I kept some of the original tracks off the demo, as a matter of fact. Eston Ray, thanks for the super chat. Appreciate that. Did anybody watch Tone Talk? Probably a bunch of you, right? The last one. With the David Lee Roth guitar player, who I'm going to screw up his name because I'm going to get him mixed up with Bart Walsh. But was it Brent? Because both their names start with B, and I'm sorry about that. He's a terrific guitar player, and the interview was great. I should have looked up his name before. I feel so stupid. But anyway, so apologies for that. I think it was Brent. But anyway, he's a really, really good guitar player, and it was very interesting. He had a lot of great stories about working with Dave. That's the last Tone Talk. If you haven't seen that, it was enjoyable. Brian, damn it, Brian Young, that's it. And I've watched videos of him from that tour, and he does a really good job doing the Ed stuff. Brian seems like a really nice guy, smart guy, hard worker. Chris Quinn says, I put a 4700 picofarad cap on the bright channel, 100 picofarad bright cap on the other channel of my 69 Plexi, and it's rocking. That's cool. Do you have any bright caps on the second input? No, but I've played with it on the Friedman Plex, and it's definitely cool, you know, to be able to. I probably wouldn't go beyond the 100. I think the 100 on the second input is like either none or the 100 is cool. And it just gives you options, you know. But I guess you've got yours on there permanently, which is cool. That's probably a good way to do it. I mean, it makes the other channel arguably more usable, I guess, for probably a lot of us. You know, and it's dependent on if you're running pedals in front and stuff too, because that tends to blow up the sound of the bright cap a little bit, but it could be a good thing. Just depends. Peter says he has a great Marshall collection. Yeah, he did have a lot of cool, Brian, a lot of cool Marshall amps and their PA heads and other stuff. It was pretty neat. Yep. Favorites. I'm all the way at the bottom of the chat right now. I don't know why. I usually start way back, but favorite single channel amp for lead solos. I mean, like single channel, non-master volume, a Plexi for sure, or, a Comet. I mean, my Comet Concord is terrific in that way. In the fast mode, really fun for, being a non-master volume kind of affair, and just doesn't really need a pedal or anything like that. If, a train wreck, that train wreck I had here, which I think Bonamassa has now. That one that I made a video of I've seen in Joe's possession. So that's where that went. And, but that amp was, incredible. No pedals, no nothing. So, it's a different thing almost, those amps, the train wrecks and Comets and stuff, when no pedal, unadulterated, nice and loud, let it just do its thing, and it takes off into feedback. It does all this crazy stuff. It's really fun amps. So I like seeing Jimmy and all your amps. The Les Paul Custom's really special. Always sounds stellar. Got any stories about it? Neck profile. The neck profile is pretty. It's very comfortable. It's. I would say like a nice Les Paul C. Maybe with a little less shoulder than some that I've played. It's not like a historic or anything like that. More like somewhere between, I would say, a 59 and a 60 profile. Very, very comfortable neck on that custom. It's a great Les Paul. Just a regular old, run of the mill. Paul, nothing too crazy about it. There's another super chat. Let's catch that. Running the SL68 Mark II and love it. Run it with volume at 6. Yeah, that's a great place to put it. Looking for an over-the-top distortion box for certain legato type leads. Over-the-top distortion. I mean, what do you guys think? Because I was going to say, Klon I use, but a distortion in front of that amp on 6, it's not something I generally do. Overdrive, you might try something along the lines of, let me just think. I often think that sometimes when people think they want a distortion, especially in front of a Plexi or something, they really would want something like a Cocoa Boost. You might want to try the Cocoa Boost, because if you just kick the front end and if you kick it with mid-range, you're kind of doing what a Jose mod does, for example. It's really like a tube boost that is got low end lopped off and high end lopped off. And you're just pushing that, and it's making some overdrive, yes. So, but it's really a targeted kind of, mid-rangey boost is what it's doing, kicking into that first Plexi gain stage. Now it becomes the first gain stage, but so I find the Cocoa Boost type of pedal really bonds with that, as opposed to adding muck and fizz and stuff like that. That targeted mid-range gain going in is what can really give you the singing, sustaining legato. Still stay tight, So look at the Cocoa Boost. Give it a try. Might not be what you're looking for, but it might be. And then beyond that, I think it's just trying different drives, different overdrives. Maybe something like an 808 with the gain up a little bit, because you're going to want kind of dark, a good old tube screamer, but a good one, not a fitzy one. The Maxon Apex pedal, that was pretty killer for that kind of pedal. It had no fizz in it, I remember, and I didn't have that separation of clean and dirty. It just was like a really nice. But the Apex is Apex 808, very very nice. Yeah. Some of you guys are talking about different boosts here. It's good. Good discussion. Gravity boost from copper. That's one I haven't tried. Was thinking about the Coco. Coco, yeah, just some help, like a bit of help. The Coco, it's not. I'm just wondering if it's gonna be enough for you. But if you're just saying, yeah, I just want to push it over the edge and make the notes take off into feedback and stuff, and I want to retain the feel of the amp and not have it futz out or sound like a fake. It doesn't sound fake. The Coco sounds like part of the amp. It's really great. So I would give that a try. What are your thoughts on the Suhr Bella combo without the reverb? I have one, no reverb. I got one of the first ones. It's great. I mean, most guitar players have great reverbs these days, so you could just add a pedal and away you go. And in my mind, Jesus, sorry, in my mind, you don't need to use the loop, because the amp is so clean that it's quite clean. So just run the stuff in front. It almost makes the reverb probably even better, like juicy. If you want a really hi-fi sound, you can use the loop. But if you just have a straight up pedal board and you want to run all your pedals in series and just go right in the front, it's great. It's a killer pedal platform amp. That's kind of what it's made for. And with that three-way bright, awesome. Yeah. Okay. Yes, you guys got lots of suggestions here. Blackstone overdrive, Fortin modded tube screamer. There's another super chat. Thanks so much, you guys, for the super chats. Appreciate it. I've got a bad case of SG gas. Oh, I know what that's all about. Which slim taper model would you suggest? Most people are recommending 61 standard. Angus uses 71 standard. Yeah, Angus used all eras of SGs, really. That black one that he used on Back in Black, really cool guitar. I love the profile of the necks around, like certain ones from 64, 63, 64. They had a real wide, quite wide, flat, just a nice slim C neck. And I love that neck on those guitars. They play so good. Similar to the neck on my 335. And then quickly in like 65 or something, they start getting real skinny. Like the nut is, because I think they're almost like a 1 11/16 kind of affair. A lot of them at the nut from 63 or 64. And then they, all of a sudden they very less wide for Gibsons in 65. They can be a little all over the map, but some of my favorite ones I've ever played were from 63, 64. 61, no, I mean 61, 62. It's like those are the Les Paul, like the Les Paul SGs. You basically got a real Les Paul at that point, which is kind of neat. I mean, just from, I don't know if you're talking about getting a vintage one. I think you're talking about reissues and stuff. But look for something from around, if you are talking about vintage, something around 64 or something. They've got a really great neck. Yeah. Okay. What else are we talking about here? Let's see. Sounds like the perfect Les Paul neck. Historics are always too big or too small. A lot of them are, aren't they? The 59's pretty cool, a lot of them that I've played, and then the 60's quite skinny. I can get used to anything, but it is weird to me. I think Gibson, I can't profess to be an expert because I haven't played like a ton of them, but I think they did get better after like 2013 or 14 when they kind of upped their game on the historics and all that. And, the finishes got a little better, like more accurate looking. They finally, like the gold top started looking really good. And they had a little less plasticky kind of feel to them. I think the necks got a little better, like a little more accurate. But when you play Les Pauls from 57 or 58, they don't feel like the Gibson 57 or 58 neck profiles. They're much bigger, the ones that Gibson, the historics, most of them that I've played. May have played those some, like I say, post 2013 or 14, like in Japan. I can remember picking some up. But you're always like, did they order this special? Or like, because some of the stores in Japan, like the Ikibe store in Shibuya, would have like a whole wall of really beautiful historic Les Pauls that they had picked the tops out on, and they were like a Keybase special. You know, they go to Gibson, they actually do a lot of this. So I think some of them were like special for them, like probably neck profiles, because the Japanese get very, very specific about what they want, I think, and the specs and stuff. So a lot of those guitars are really, really cool. And I seem to remember thinking the necks were more accurate. But anyway, yeah, that, you know, most 50s Les Pauls that I've played, none of them had a big round neck. They were all like some on the big side, but like less shoulder than any of the historics, or most of the historics that I've played. So that was always confusing to me why they did that. Yeah. I like my 59 reissue. It's a 2022. Cool. Yeah, I think the 59s were kind of the best. Like it's almost like they wanted to save that neck for the 59 because that was their, like, whatever they're doing, and then they still made the 58s big and the 57s big because they had to have some differentiation besides just a fancy top to make it like more expensive and stuff, I suppose. I'm spitballing, but I've been hunting for a lawsuit early 80s Aria Pro 2 with DiMarzio's. That's cool. I remember those with the kind of swoopier top. Are we talking about the Les Paul one? Like the kind of neat looking, you know. Fond memories of those guitars, those Japanese guitars from that era. Yeah, maybe they made the necks thicker to try and keep the headstocks from breaking off. Well, no, because the 60s and 59s, the 60s have a real like wide thin situation going on. If you played any of those, the 00, you know, R00, whatever they call those, R or not 00, RO, R0, R0, R7s, R8s, R9s, and R0s. And those ones, the R0s, they always have a thinner neck. Yeah. Let's see. I checked out a 1960 burst, pretty normal size neck. Yeah. Yeah. I've played a few 60s. I got to try Frampton's, actually. It was quite thin. I think maybe it was shaved for him, though. He likes a thinner neck. He likes a wide, thin situation. More like those 64 necks from Gibson. I wonder if it's... I've never played his 335. I wonder if it's quite wide and thin as well, because he's got a dot neck 335. I think that's like a 63. I do not like a lot of shoulder, says Chris. I don't either. Agreed. Yeah, I kind of like the, you know, I don't like a small neck, but I like less shoulder, and then, you know, tapering to a bigger, you know, like the 50s ones a lot. I had a 54 Les Paul, and it was like just about a V, basically, with, you know, just very comfortable. They knew how to do it back then. Ever play through a Friedman Steve Stevens 100? Dave needs to make that a combo. Best 2-channel amp out there. I have. Yeah. Very cool. You know, Dave's got a lot of good amps. That's for sure. Can you compare the Thornbucker Plus and 2 to Friedman Classic Plus? They're probably kind of similar. I don't know what a Classic Plus is exactly, but let's take a look. Friedman Classic Plus. Classic Plus bridge pickup. Let's take a look. Specs wise, what do we got? It's well hotter than the Classic. Gives the pickup a slightly crunchier tone in high gain environments. Sound like a 5. So it's a 5. I don't see the exact specs listed, but I'm gonna guess that it's probably a 8.7 or 9K or something, like a 5 pickup. Oh wait, there's some specs. There is specs. I just had to scroll down. DC resistance 8.2. That's not that hot. Sounds like a 59 kind of thing almost. I don't know if it's 8.2. That's not that hot. So what's a Classic? Let's take a look at a Classic and compare. Now I'm curious. Classic bridge pickup. Classic bridge pickup. DC. Oh, it's real low line, 7.7. So it sounds like his Classics are kind of like almost like a T-top. And then the Classic Plus be more like a 59. And then, so my Thornbucker is 8.3 or 4, the regular one, but it's Alnico 4. So it's going to be a little less big and a little less treble, a little more subdued highs and lows a little bit. The Classic, my pickup, sorry, Thornbucker Plus, or the Thornbucker, and a little more because it's A4. A5's a little, the magnet just gives you a little more push, but it sounds like bass and treble, you know. Yeah. So I'd say my pickup will be probably like the Thornbucker Plus, maybe a little sweeter or a little more balanced. The Friedman be maybe a little more big treble, you know, a little more. And if it's a balanced coil thing, then then they're very different, you know. So I'm just not sure that it is or not. So, but I do like A5 sometimes, you know, A5 magnet bridge pickups. But I'm tending to like them more in hotter pickups these days, and I'm more liking, like, for a bridge, as I get older, I don't know, maybe like a little less treble and a little warmer in the bridge position. So the A4 bridge on a Thornbucker model, and then A5 neck seems to work because they got more treble and it adds a little clarity to the neck. Real low wind A5 in the neck, and then like a normal PAF wind A4 in the bridge, or a slightly hotter, or a 9K A2 in the bridge. That's kind of what I'm liking these days. Yeah. Finally had the courage to gig my Suhr. Stopped overreacting after the first ding. Oh yeah, you got to get out and play it. It's okay. I got a couple dings in, some of mine, and sometimes it bothers me, but that's okay. They're tools. Yeah. How do you feel Japanese Fenders stand up to American Fenders? I mean, very well, generally speaking. I love Japanese Fender stuff. A lot of them were Fujigen, I think, in the early Squires and stuff, and then whatever became Fender Japan, I think they made a lot of them, pretty sure. But Japanese guitars are generally pretty darn good, man. Pretty consistent, you know. I've had a hankering for a Kramer, the Beretta, and they got the new Japanese sort of ones that are, I think, by all accounts, pretty accurate copies of the very early Beretta, the one that Eddie was playing or holding in the No Bozos ad, where it said, "It's quite simply the best guitar you can buy today," or whatever. I just have fond memories of that, and that ad in particular. And it's like he never even played the guitar live. I don't think he had his own version of it, that didn't even have the slanted humbucker in it and everything, but they're so cool. I don't know. It's just like, if you're an Eddie freak, it's just one of those guitars, and they're fairly reasonably priced and stuff. It's like, oh, I kind of want one of those, but they're made in Japan. And they look really good to me. Music Like with Arthur Gonzalez says, my friend and I were talking about your first Suhr signature and how badass it is. One seriously diverse guitar. I agree. It's really, really diverse with the something about the woods, and then the two humbuckers, but with all the parallel and coil tap settings and stuff. It'll do a lot of stuff, which is why when you saw me play Arthur with Vibe for Fighting and stuff, I could just play that one guitar pretty much and get a lot of tones out of it. A lot of different outputs and different, split sounds and all that. It's really fun. Yeah. Okay. A lot of Japan replicas I've owned and played have a real nice chunky neck that's in between R7, R8, and RO. So you mean Les Paul stuff, like Tokais and stuff? Is that what you mean? Dan's here from Minnesota, and he says, "Word up. What's up, man? What are my thoughts on Flashback 2, Delay Pedal, and Hall of Fame 2? I quite like them. I did actually a couple of sounds. What do they call them? Tone prints with my buddy Tor back when he was at TC. And for the Flashback, I did a modulated delay. And then I did one on the Hall of Fame 2 that is like a big reverb. It's like 5-second tail or something. So kind of an ambient verb that you would use for a really nice clean sound. But then when you hold down the switch, it tailed out to 20 seconds. And so you could just do an endless tail on things. And I really, so if you have a Hall of Fame, try that. But I really liked that sound. I thought it was really cool. And, in a small pedal, it had a pretty big sound. Pretty cool. I think I got another super chat I got to get to there. Christopher says, "Hey, Pete. Hey, what's up? How you doing? How's it going? Got a Thornbucker Plus on a single humbucker Strat, coil tap, monster crunch tone, incredible high gain. That's awesome. Yeah, it's Thornbucker Plus is a great way to go. It's just that 8.7 A4. What's not to like? It's it's what single coils and balances really well, knocking into parallel, and it's super cool. Yeah. A JB compared to a Thornbucker 2. Oh, pretty different. So JB A5, way more whines. Gonna have a much sort of darker and more mid-range character. More powerful. But you're gonna hear it pushing the. It's a one-way ticket to bridge pickup mid-range tone. Not my favorite for clean, but try it in parallel for clean. That's the way to get it to do a clean thing. Regular Thornbucker or something, you're going to be able to get a great. I'm just going to eat this. You're going to be able to get a great clean sound just wired in series. Because it's basically vintage PAF kind of unbalanced coil, but a JB kind of darker if you listen to it through a clean sound. But that can be nice for high gain. So just a different thing. It's a bit of a one-trick pony, I always say, but it's a good trick. And then if you wire it in parallel, it opens up the possibilities. Or a coil tap, because it's quite hot. So you could tap a JB and probably, it's a pretty cool sound. I've actually got that on I never really play it that much, but my Jackson back there, I've got a JB and I've got a coil tap switch for the 2 pickups in push-pull volume. I can tap the bridge and the neck at the same time. So I should give it a try sometime since I've had it for 40 years. Oh my God. Almost. Not quite. Yeah. Are most reverb and delay pedals buffered bypass? Yeah. I mean, you can generally pick, like most Strymons and stuff, you can choose if you want to use the buffer. And you can true bypass, but then you lose tails. But yeah, most of the ones, they at least give you the option of doing a buffered bypass. Most modern reverb and delays, certainly everything Strymon, always give you the option. They did all that stuff really right, like the buffers, the dry mix path and all that. They do a really nice job with all that. Help to retain your tone, or if you need the trails, you can have them. The buffers always sound really good and everything, so it's pretty cool. But anything Boss is going to generally be buffered. Don't think you can turn it off on most of their pedals. Yeah. What else? Let's see here. Favorite pickup right now is the Duncan Custom. So that's basically Seymour Duncan's version of a super distortion. Well, so you want something with a similar vibe, but just a little different, try a super distortion. You're going to find it's about the same output, ceramic magnet. There's a slug coil and a screw coil and a Duncan Custom. So that's going to be a little different. You can hear me compare them in the video for the Eddie Van Halen pickup comparison thing that I did. I used a custom and a super distortion in that video, so you can listen. I didn't do them in the same guitar, but I did do a Mighty Mite that's a copy of a super distortion in the same guitar. So the black and white guitar, you'll hear the Mighty Mite, and then you'll also hear the Duncan Custom. Compare them in that and see what you think. Or if you really like the custom, try a custom or a custom 5, which is the exact same pickup but with different magnet. Alico 2 or Alico 5. A custom is ceramic. That's going to be pretty different sounding. Yeah. I've tried all of those at one time or another because I'm a nerd. I'm not familiar with your solo albums, but I love your guitar work. Thanks. Particularly with Chris from the live videos I've seen. What are your favorite compositions from your solo works? My favorite thing that I ever recorded was the song Remember off my last record. So I love that, how that came out. Chris Chaney on bass from AC/DC now. Been playing with AC/DC. And who else? Kurt Mascara on drums, who played the drums in one take without really hearing anything. I just sort of showed him the way the song was going to go, and we had the drum set up and mic'd, and he charted it out. Okay, it's this many bars and stuff. I said, yeah, just like do this and then this kind of thing, and it's going to build here, and then you're going to come in and play this kind of groove, and then you're going to play out till the end, and it's going to kind of be a long outro and then just sort of fall out. And he went, okay. And he played it. And then I went, I think that's going to work good. And then I took it and brought it in, and I cut all my stuff to what he had played. And so that's how Remember came together. It was interesting. And I mean, I love it. I love the way that track came out. So anyway, that's my favorite. Off the previous record, off my first record, favorite composition? I don't know. Maybe Homage or I love 10th Street. I'm picking all the soft ones. But I like the rock. I mean, I love how Revenge of the Nerd came out and stuff too. I love the call answer guitars are in it are fun, like the different tones. And Revenge of the Nerd, which is the first track, of Steve Stevens on bass, and he really he played bass at his place, and he sent me the track, and I dropped it in my session, and I pulled it up and listened. I was like, oh yeah, because he did a thing where he played it up an octave and then he dropped down in the second half of the intro to a drop D, and it was like, oh, that sounds so cool the way he built it. He's just so musical. But then my idea for the solos and everything was guitars sort of talking to one another, almost like a conversation between three different guitars. And so I used different tones, snarly treble boosted one, and then a different one, and kind of less gain on one or whatever. And I had them all panned across the stereo spectrum, kind of three different guitars, kind of call answering one another. And that was the idea in that. And I think it came out pretty good. I just remember being really excited, like making that record and thinking like, I think this is sounding pretty good. And I did it like, did I finish it? I'm trying to remember if I I put it out. I had moved. When I did finish some of it living in my house in Santa Monica that I had for a minute, but the majority, like a lot of it, all of Revenge of the Nerd and stuff was cut pre-2009, even though the album didn't come out till 2011. And it was done in like this little apartment that I had, or kind of guest house that I lived in, with a cabinet buried in a little filing cabinet, with a mic on it. And it was so jerry-rigged the way I made that record, but I'm proud of it. I think it turned out really good. So yeah. Let's see. Do you think the SI Audio 3D MEs are worth the price for use just as an active earplug? No monitor feed would be going to them. They're great for that. Very cool. If you're just going to concerts and stuff, I might try the AirPods first if I was you, because I've been using my AirPods like that. Although with really high sound pressure, I did notice yesterday that AirPods will distort. I was in a rehearsal room where it was so loud. Just with we were just working on something. Me and Britt were working on something and she was playing drums, and it was a really loud room. And when she'd hit the snare drum in there, it was so loud. We had the PA cranking too, because she needed to play to something. She had her in-ears in. I was like, I either need plugs or I'm going to try my AirPods. Put the AirPods in, and I could hear them distorting a little bit. And I hadn't heard that before, but it was very, very high sound pressure. So I just say the AirPods, because if you're not going to use it, you're saying just as an active ear monitor, they're very cool for that, but they're $800. The AirPods will cost you one something, I think, the Pros, or is it $200 or $160 or something I bought mine for. And they seem to work really well for just the earplug, in the, I think what's called adaptive mode. As soon as they sense a lot of volume, they bring the sound down to you can't, I guess you can get in and adjust it, how much they reduce, but I'm not sure exactly how to do that yet. I haven't done that, but just the factory setting seems really cool. What's the neck and weight like of your 64 Strat? Is it the warmest, driest sounding Strat you've played? Yeah, it is pretty warm. Dry? Yeah, pretty dry. It's got a real resonance to it. It's a good way to describe it. Kind of warm and dry, I would say. Neck is a really nice, subtle V down low. It's kind of like the neck on my signature guitar, on my latest HSS signature model. Great neck. It's not big. It's not small. I wouldn't say. It's veering on the bigger side, but not. It's like one of those just nice mid 60 Strat necks. That's not, it's not a club or anything like that. Weight, pretty medium for a guitar like that, I would say, but it's by no means heavy. It's got a great weight. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's 8 pounds. Maybe it's 7.8 or something like that. Probably. Yeah. Let's see here. Any experience playing through 15-inch speakers? The only 15s I've played through for guitar are really a friend had a 63 Reverb or 64, like Stevie Ray Vaughan style, with a 15, and that amp messed me up. It was really cool sounding. That amp with an old Strat and a tube screamer was just instant ticket to Texas Flood Stevie Ray Vaughan sound. It sounded so good, and I was like, "Oh, okay, I get it. The 15s are a big part of this." It just had the sound. It was so cool sounding, heft, and just that big, bold, but still clarity and everything. It was really cool sounding. I think the only other one I ever tried with a 15 for guitar was the PV Delta Blues. Remember those? They were out in the 90s. It was like a tweed combo that had a 15 in it. It was sort of disappointing though. I thought, oh, maybe this is going to sound like one of those Reverbs. No, not really. It was basically a classic, I think, but with a 15. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Fancy new camera. Looks different. Yeah. It's just a new monitor. The new Mac. What's it called? Mac 27-inch monitor that I got for my new computer, which is working out great. The new, I love it. It's making things faster, more efficient. Mac Studio. Working good. I'll probably use it for 6 or 7 years, and then it'll be extinct, like all Mac stuff. Eston says, I have a Thornbucker Plus in my HSS made in Mexico 97 Strat. Excellent choice, sir. Just trying out the Evermore UAFX Studio Reverb. Haven't tried that one. Is it good? There's a lot of new stuff in UA that I haven't tried. Loving the Sunset Sound reverb sort of room plugin. It's similar to the old Ocean Way one. Maybe seems a little easier on the DSP, on the CPU. It's very similar. You can just use it like a reverb and add really nice room sound to it's basically a room reverb. Yeah, really good sounding. So I like that as well. What's your opinion of Sovtek amps, the 50 and 100? They were pretty cool for what they were. I think they were pretty, like, at least back in the day. I don't know about what they're doing now. I have no idea. Back in the 90s when they came out, the 50 was basically a Bassman, I think, like a tweed Bassman circuit. So kind of JTM 45. And then the 60 was basically kind of a Marshall, I think. That's my memory of it. MiG 60 and MiG 50. But they were pretty sloppy, I think, the construction. So you basically had kind of they weren't PC. I think they were hand wired, I think, weren't they? Or tag board kind of put together. But techs were like, oh my God, these are like, not made that great. But if you got in and probably rebuilt one a little bit or just tightened it up, probably a pretty cool amp for the money. They were sort of seen as a bit of a sleeper and kind of a good value back in the day because they were so cheap. And yeah, if you wanted to tinker or mod, probably pretty cool. Say you could probably get one and get in there and rebuild it and do a pretty nice job. If you could collab with anyone today, who might it be? Oh, good question. Man, I would love to just, I guess, do something with a great singer, like in the studio. Um, you know, it would be just really fun I don't know who though. I really have to think about it, to give an honest, like, because I haven't thought about that for a long time. But like a cool collaboration, a cool band. I mean, I would love to join a band at this point. That needs somebody that can write and likes to write and guitar tones and stuff like that. But I just don't know who. Whenever I think about that, it's always it's a little melancholy for me because I always think of Chris, and it's just like, damn it, I wish I'd done. I recorded a little bit with him, but I wish I'd done so much more. And if he was still with us, I wouldn't be shy about saying, can we write something together? Can we just work on something? Like maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. But I never really did that with him. I don't know why. I should have. But that would, I always come back to that where it's sort of, and then that gets into lamenting about the past, which is always pointless. So anyway, I just carry on and continue to work and stuff. But if anybody hears of a band that needs somebody, Derek says, I own a 74 Super Lee that ghosts badly. Oh, well, have a tech look at it and diagnose where it's coming from. It's probably just low filtering. My top hat does that a lot. Maybe it was modded at some point, like the filtering was changed or something, lowered, and it just depends. I don't know really what causes ghosting other than low filtering. So somebody like Friedman might have a better perspective on that. You might ask him on Tone Talk. There might be other things. My impression is that it's always filtering. So, but maybe there's other things, components like filter caps or something drifting in spec, or so maybe it needs to be recapped or something. Maybe that's a symptom of needing a recap if you haven't had that done for 10 or 20 years. Or if it was never done and the amp is new to you. How is the learning curve going on Logic? Any feature discoveries or favorite lies? I don't know about lies. Dislikes. I'm fine on it. I haven't really explored that much. I've used Stem Splitter. So in Logic now you can do what you can do with Moises, which is split out things, into guitar, bass, drums, and vocals, and it's pretty darn cool. That's pretty awesome. But the session player stuff and everything I haven't really got into yet. So got to get more into it. Just listen to Remember. You sound like Jeff Beck, says Chris. Thanks, man. Yeah, that's kind of the direction on that. I love playing in that style. Like it's a melancholy tune, and the song I cut originally on my Mac Mall T in drop C, I think. And so the main guitar part is the Mac Mall, which has this really beautiful, when you turn on both P90s, almost acoustic like sound. It's got a ton of anybody that says that the tone wood is a myth, it's like the guitar is very resonant and you can hear it coming through in the clean tone on Remember, so that's what the main tone is this sort of deep tuned, clean, slightly compressed tone where I feel like the guitar just bloomed beautifully. I could play it very delicate and it had a really cool sound. So that's how I did that. And then the middle section, I'm making sort of gratuitous use of the freak out pedal, which is, you hear the notes sort of take off into feedback a little bit at the ends and stuff. And I love the freak out for that. So that's a little secret. Like that's how you're hearing those notes that I hold on to, and then they take off right at the end and then fall off. So it's such an expressive pedal for stuff like that. So that's kind of what I was doing there. I don't remember what guitar I used for the solos or what amp I used or anything like that, but it was probably it was probably PT or SL68 or something, and maybe with boosted with something. Yeah. Is that Chris Chaney who played with Jane's Addiction? Yeah. Chris played with Jane's, AC/DC. He's a wonderful bass player, wonderful musician. So he's a friend, and I love what he did on on Remember. I went over to his studio actually at his place and cut the bass on that. Yeah, Barry says, does your Black Les Paul custom have 50s wiring? It does, yeah. I was listening to an interview with Premier a while back, and it sounded amazing. Oh yeah, I played it in that. Yeah, they did a nice job on that actually. That Premier where I show a bunch of my guitars and different sounds, and yeah, it's a really good sounding guitar. It now has, I think, a 59 in the neck, and it's an old 59 and a Thornbucker Plus in the bridge. I'm pretty sure it's a Plus and not the regular Thornbucker. I'd have to pull it out to actually look because I forget sometimes these things, but I think it's Thornbucker Plus in the bridge. Or maybe, you know what? I think it's just 2 Thornbuckers in that guitar now. I took the 59 out of the neck. So yeah, it's a Thornbucker set that's in there right now. That's right. I forget these things. Arthur says, I was with Phil X in Austin about 1 million years ago. Phil verbally walked Kenny through the set. He mapped it out on the flight and did his Fogerty gig and played Phil's right after perfectly. Kenny's a consummate pro, that's for sure. He's saw him a little while ago. He's, Savini playing with Joe Satriani and just killing it up there, He's got great energy and it's inspiring. Kenny Aronoff, of course. Joe, if you got time today, can you show us your warm-up scales? You showed us about 5 weeks ago, but I can't remember what show it was. Warm-up scales. I don't remember showing a scale. There's a Steve Morse thing that I do that I showed, and I sort of don't want to do it again because I did it on that show. But yeah, I don't know if I'm going to do it right now. But it was a few weeks ago. But there's some Steve Morse warm-up exercises, and I bet if I Google, it might be more useful for me to try and find. Let's see, Steve Morse. Let me see if I can find any kind of resource. Here's some stuff. If you just Google Steve Morse warm-up exercises, I'm showing videos here. One's called Steve Morse's alternate picking workout, Steve Morse arpeggio exercise, the Steve Morse scale workout, Steve Morse alternate picking exercise. All these things are coming up here. So look at some of those, and yeah, all of this stuff comes up because he put out so much instructional material. And you might just get the Steve Morse, video that I think it was an REH video that he did where he shows a lot of this stuff, and man, it's all in there. That's what I would recommend. Yeah. Let's see. Do you take a portable amp with you when traveling? Yeah, sometimes. I'll use a Fly 3 from Blackstar. So I have one in England that's in the wardrobe case over there now. And it's a little Blackstar amp that I love. Super cool sounding. And I'll just, half an hour before the gig, I'll just sit back there and rock out with that for a little bit sometimes. Or it's nice in a hotel room. It definitely keeps me playing guitar more. I'll definitely, be taking something like that with me. I have a new X1 that's got a delay and reverb stuff built in. It sounds really good. The other thing you can do always that works really good is if you have a modeler, most of them will work as audio interfaces. Helix Stomp, the Quad Cortex certainly. So you bring them with you and you just bring a USB cable and you plug it into your computer, and then you set it as the audio input and set your laptop as the speakers are the output. And now your laptop's an amp, practice amp, right? So I'm not sure if that's a good trick. Like if you've got just a little something small, you can do that, and practice in a hotel room or practice wherever, just playing through your laptop speakers. So that's kind of something else that I do a lot. Yeah. Let's see. Do you like Sun amps, and how did you find their comeback? I don't know anything about what they've been doing actually, with their new stuff. So no comment, I guess, but don't know enough to. That's not a negative. I haven't tried anything new from Sun. delicious. Noosa yogurt. Let's see. Pete Thorn and Corey Glover. I did do something with Corey, actually. You know, this is 25 years ago or something, but I was in a band that had a song that Corey, I believe Corey actually sang on the song for it. The song ended up in a television show, and Corey was in the TV show or something. This is a long time ago, but I don't even remember exactly what the situation was. But anyway, Corey was on this song that I played on. So, yeah, I still think you should have gotten the Smashing Pumpkins gig. Well, the guitar player they ended up with is pretty different than me, and pretty different than Jeff. So, I'm friends with Jeff. So I mean, I don't know. Anyway, I don't know what to. Not really sure about that whole thing. Let's give her the benefit of the doubt. I haven't seen them, so I don't know. I'll wait till I see a show and then figure it out. But, yeah. Let's see here. My fave from Guitar Nerd is Homage, and you blew me away playing all the parts on XFX 3 Live in that video you did at your old house. Oh yeah, I remember that video. I did a video where I performed all the parts from the song on the XFX. Yeah, I just tried to recreate the sounds off the record because the record was all it was all amps. Badger 30, I think I used on Homage for the main kind of tone, main sort of clean sound with the sort of phaser or vibe or whatever I used on it. Oasis haven't announced their full band lineup yet. I think Bonehead's doing it. I think he's the other guitar player. All they really need is like 2 guitars, right? So, a lot of a sort of debacle situation with the ticketing and all that, right? But I mean, gonna be fun. I love Oasis, so that's just me. I'm a Noel fan. I love Liam too, but I like Noel's records that he put out post Oasis. And I went to see him play in Tokyo actually, and it was great. So I really like the album he came out with around 2014. It was terrific. Yeah. I think you would bring something great out of Corey Taylor. I would love to work with Corey Taylor. There's a guy that I'd love to do something with for sure, you know. 100%. Speaking of Jeff Beck, a few friends told me you look like Beck in some shots. We have the same birthday. I wish I could play guitar like him. Yeah, I'm just, as I grow my hair out, it's like that's kind of where it goes, I guess, if I grow it, you know. Get into the sort of 70s shag thing, and there it is. Let's see. Any chance of releasing a rack version of the preamp element of your head? Probably not. I mean, probably greater chance of a pedal of some sort, you know, than a rack version. Although rack stuff is cool, and you know, it's just not as prominent these days. I mean, as all the effects and everything moved away from rack, nobody really does that anymore. I mean, other than Helix, of course, or Axe effects, you know. So when you see people using racks, it's generally they're using a Helix or an Axe effects or something for either the full rig, or they're using, like Steve Vai does with Synergy rack and an Axe effects for his post effects, you know. Yeah. But it's not like it used to be where everything was racked. Everything was rack in the 90s, and I mean, that's when boutique pedals sort of started. But you know, power amps and preamps and everything was rack. It was all rack. Never really moved away from that. So interesting, but yeah. Earl says the Steve Morse exercises are similar to Bach inventions. Yeah. Bach is great for scale patterns for sure. Have you ever taught lessons? Oh, many. When I was 17, I was teaching like 35 people a week. I used to teach a lot, and then when I moved to LA and stuff, I taught guitar. Yeah, I still enjoy it in some respects, but these days I wouldn't. Not really down with like private lessons. It would be more like making courses. It's something I need to do more of. You know, my approach to soloing or whatever, etc. That'll happen. No headphone out on a quad Cortex. Yeah, I believe there is actually. I just can't remember what it is, but yeah, there is one that you can use. It's a headphone out. I think you said the Les Paul Custom had Thornbuckers in it. Yeah. Well, I know Gil Yaron in the rundown. Well, they made me kind of choose like 5 guitars, I think. And so I picked, just off the top of my head, I was like, well, let's do these. I could have done the Gil, but the I guess the Black Les Paul Custom, maybe the story. I probably told the story about the headstock break, and I used it with Chris on like every show I ever played with him and stuff like that. So it had a bit more history, in that sense. I love my Gil Yaron, but I think I just picked guitars that had kind of cool stories. So that was the thinking there. Just got an AC15 hand wired like yours, looking for an external cab to use with it. What do you use? I would probably get something closed. Like it might be nice to augment the internal open back. Has it got a blue in it? Maybe something with a green back in it or something. It's just an AC15, so you could get a green back or a M65 style speaker or something. It might be cool. Or get a closed back with an Alico cream, like a really nice one. Something Carrie Wright style or something like that, or maybe with an oval open back. Probably sound really nice. For the coffee fund, a super chat. Thank you. Thanks for those super chatters today. Appreciate you and contributing to the fund. It's about 1 o'clock, and it's 1 o'clock at the coast. No, I'm not at the coast, but I will be soon. Yeah. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah. Let's see. Arthur says Kiki is a really nice person. She can really play as well. I'm glad she landed the pumpkin gig. She made her way back to music from a bad place. That's awesome. I don't know anything about her, to be honest. I don't have any idea. I just knew she was like a kind of an influencer person, So that's all I knew about her. I know that she kind of quit playing guitar for a long time and just did the influencer thing. And then like started playing guitar again and got the pumpkin gig. That's all I know. Don't know anything else. So, what do you think of Park Amps and their comeback? They sound incredible, and Mitch seems like a great guy. Mitch does seem like a great guy. I don't know him very well, but I've met him a little bit, and he seems very nice. He's very knowledgeable about those circuits, and he's done a wonderful job. So yeah, I got nothing but good things to say. From the sense of like he did it right, and he uncompromising and doing the collaborations with Jimmy Page and all that kind of stuff. He's making them like he's one of the few out there doing it right, and with the knowledge and the skills and doing it like the old days. So it's cool. I would play one. What's your take on guitar synth pickups, Roland or Fishman? Well, they're both, been in the game for a while. Roland obviously longer. The Fishman I tried is excellent, really fun, a little finicky. I did a video for it and I had a great time doing it. I put it on my red Suhr T, and I was triggering all kinds of stuff out of Logic that I'm not a keyboard player. So it was like I was able to trigger bass sounds and key sounds, do all kinds of fun stuff that I'd never been able to do, and make a little composition instantly. All of a sudden I'm playing like bass pads and huge synth sounds and orchestral sounds. And it was like, this is so fun. So, the good and the bad. I had it on a guitar that was mine already. Didn't have to use a separate guitar, but it was, stuck to the body and had this, and the USB kind of, was it like a USB interface that had a Bluetooth connection? So MIDI over Bluetooth, I think, was what it was. And then a USB stick goes into your computer, and then that communicates. All in all, it worked pretty well. There was a little latency. Sometimes it would miss trigger. And it was all a little finicky, but really fun. The installation of the sounds, they had this East-West sample pack and stuff that it came with, was impossible. I literally had to get a guy to, when you can have somebody take over your computer and do screen control and all that remotely, he had to go in and do the file hierarchy and do all the installation stuff. It was so hard that it was like I could not figure it out. You got to do this, and then open this, and then push this, and it was just like, oh my god, this is way too much, you guys. So that was a nightmare. But the results and it was a really, really fun piece of gear. That's for sure. Remember that it being awesome. Didn't really get into it after that and use it again. Now I would say the Roland probably, whatever they're doing, built into guitars. Like it'd be cool to have one guitar around that's just, and I actually do. I have a Roland Strat here that has a bridge pickup in it that I haven't ever really used, but you know, it just kind of it's just having it integrated and everything's cool. I guess what I'm trying to say. There's other companies. There's some that have like sensors in the fingerboard, so they can sense the note that you're playing and correlate that with whatever the MIDI pickup is hearing. That seems to make a lot of sense to me because as you're fretting a note, it's going to okay, he's on this note on this fret, and then it would be lower latency and stuff because there's less sort of guesswork involved from the pickup. That kind of makes sense to me, but that's obviously like there was some Irish company that made a guitar that Paul Davids did a beautiful video for that is this. So anyway, all right. Yeah. Okay. What else we got here? Same birthday as Jeff Beck. Yeah. Yep. I have the same birthday as SRV. That's cool. Does not help my playing. No, me neither. Yeah. Did you try the JEL50? I have not tried anything like that. I have not. Amps that sound better than preamp or power amp. Amps sound better than a preamp or power amp. Yeah. I mean, there used to be a thing where it was like it's all integrated in one, and so maybe that sounds better than a separate preamp and power amp that are like different power supplies or something. There was theories like that, but I don't know if there's truth. Maybe it was just the fact that I don't know. Like there's probably great examples of really good preamp and power amp tones. I mean, back in the day, certainly Landau and different people used to use preamps and power amps. So, yeah. Did you say you will be doing a POG 3 video? Yes, I will. Yeah, it's gonna have to wait till I get back from a little overseas trip that's coming up next week. But yeah, I'll get to it, and it'll be in a few weeks. Yeah. Late to the party, but all the VH videos you did. But of all the VH videos you did, quickest cabinet way to the EVH old brown sound, random cab with greenback, or just new EVH cab? I mean, he used late 70s or mid 70s, I think Marshall cabinets. Yeah, I question how picky he was with speakers. He always liked 25s, but were they pre-Rolla or were they? No, probably not. They were probably what was around then, which was the mid 70s to late 70s. Greenbacks of the day, which were actually blackbacks, and that's the sound that I hear. Like a blackback has a little more aggressive top end, which is something that I kind of hear out of an EVH sound. Now, having said that, the Heritage Celestians that were rebranded as EVH speakers, basically, they do a really nice thing with a plexi because they're kind of the efficiency wise, they're only 95 dB, I think, which is a little less than a regular greenback, which is like 97 or something. I think they're 96 or 95. Regular greenbacks like 97 or 98. And when you load them in a 412, they tend to have you'll notice the volume drop, a couple dB difference. They take the edge, and also they just have a slightly warmer sound on the top end. So they sort of take the edge off of an aggressive plexi, which can be cool for real world Van Halen sounds. I say real world because some of them on record are very, very, very bright, like Van Halen 1, because of the JBL, I think. But just the mic positioning and stuff. But yeah, if you're going to take a 57, stick it in the center of the cone of a greenback. It's nice if it's a warm greenback because it just tends to balance things out. But anyways, that's why I got the cabs I did, which are, old blackbacks, I finally got a nice late 70s cab that has real blackbacks. And I also have a Repro Blockhead made B cab that has the same speakers, late 70s blackbacks in it. I figured, those are the cabs to use if I'm going for that tone. If I had to do it on a budget, yeah, maybe the EVH cabs are excellent. And you might want to get a Repro, you know, like or find an unloaded Marshall or something like that, and then just find the old speakers, or just use good old greenbacks that are kind of worn in from the 90s or something. Those are pretty close. I just find the greenbacks from the 90s or, you know, whatever, there's slightly, it's a slight thing, but like a slight fizzier sounding or something, but they're great. They sound really good. And I've got lots of cabs with those. I got a Divide by 13 in the other room with those. That's what comes in my cabinets, you know, modern greenbacks. They sound fine. You know, they're really good. You know, so quad Cortex rig in my live rig, and I have channel 1 for my bass guitar patches and the other my vocal effects. Works amazingly. Yeah, because of course they have a microphone input, so you can. That's the great thing about a quad is you can well, you can do it on a Helix kind of too with the 2 different inputs and the 2 paths. But on a quad you got 4. Yeah, I mean, you could, in theory, you can have a whole band kind of play through a quad Cortex. You know, you can have bass and 2 guitars, or bass, vocal, and guitar all running on different paths, and it would work. You know, so it's just four brains in there, 4 sets ins and outs. It works. Have you tried EART guitars? I have not. I have not. What do you think of the positive grid stuff? Not enough experience with it to have an opinion. I haven't had any contact with them actually, like over they did ask me to do, maybe I did some plugins. I did some plugins back when I was in the other room. This is going back 7 years or something like that. I remember making video for a plugin. Remember that. And it was cool. But that's all I remember. Just that one plugin. As regards to rack gear, Kurt Cobain used rack pre and power amp. Yes, he did. He used a Crown or Crest power amp with a studio preamp from Mesa Boogie, which I used to have. I used to have one of those too. And you know, so it's gonna be a very hard power amp with a, you know, a clean Fendery sound in front, and then pedals for distortion. Basically, he wasn't a gear guy. He used what seemed to make sense. My box has a greenback in it. It says Marmalade Cream Media there with a super chat. Thank you very much. I was thinking about putting a blue in the external. Yeah, you might want to put, to be honest, you know what? It's just a recommendation. You might want to put an Alnico Cream in it, which is the 100 water. Blue, cool for sure. They're brighter. The Alnico Cream has a really, really nice sound, and then you're going to be able to use that cabinet with a lot of amps. Like, you know, if you get a 50 watt head or something, you want to run it in there, no problem. So just don't be afraid of the higher power thing. They sound like an Alnico, you know, the Cream, and it's a really, really nice speaker. And I might go that. I mean, a 15 watt speaker in a 112 really limits you as far as what amps you can play through it. So just make it a little more versatile. Hi, Pete. Great show. Thanks. What are your thoughts on buying a Gibson Les Paul with a repaired headstock brake? If the brake looks like it was done well, if it seems like a good repair, if you play the guitar and it plays in tune, you know, like really put some time in and tune it up and make sure it seems like it's in tune all over the neck. You know, then I say go for it if it's a good price. You know, it definitely, you know, it's something that'll drive the price of the guitar down a little bit, make it more affordable for you. And if it seems like a good one, like a keeper, go for it. I bought my 335 with a headstock brake, and then it broke again when I had it in my possession. Now it's stronger than ever. But yeah. Any place to get free speaker IRs? Most companies that offer IRs tend to give away a few for free. You know, I'm not 100% sure what the deal is, but if you go to look at Celestion, or if you go to look at Own Hammer, I'm sure they're giving away a few for that you can just try samples, you know. Not 100% sure about that, but I think so. Go to the sites and see for the folks that do that sort of thing. But they're so cheap, dude. It's just like, go get some from, you know, Celestion sells like single cab IR packs, I think, for like $5, I think. So pick up a couple of those, and a greenback 412 and a D30 412, and you covered for so many different sounds at that point. Yeah, Celestion has a free one on their website if you give your information. There's always a catch. We want your email. We shall mark it to you. And then all you got to do is unsubscribe if you want. It's up to you. Would like to see another video on the Eventide H9. What would you like to see? Anything in particular? Appreciate your wealth of info. Oh, thanks. I know very little about one specific, I know a lot about one specific subject and very little about anything else in life. So this is all I got. Ready to trade in my Helix for Kemper or Quad Cortex? You got to just look at them both, I think, and decide what you want. There's a lot of Kemper devotees, and I haven't experimented with the latest versions of them, so I'm not really sure. It's been a long time since I've been in that world. People really like the floorboard Kemper, and there's people that are in that camp and they use it and they have great, so nothing bad to say about them. I don't have a hell of a lot of experience with them for the past number of years and their latest sort of updates and what's going on with them. I'm a quad user for a while and I just kind of gravitated that way. They just made sense to me. It was very easy to use, the touch screen, the whole 9 yards. I like things about it. And I have no reservations with that device. Some people's pieces of gear, you use them and even if they sound good, they sort of piss you off, like the interface, or you might find them difficult to use or whatever. I have none of that with the quad. It generally speaking, I really like it. There's little things that kind of drive me a little bit crazy, like silly stuff. Maybe it's the way I use it, but like when I'm doing the set lists, for example, on a quad, I literally wish like there was an option in the Quad Cortex where on one side, because I have all my songs at Five for Fighting shows organized in a set list, and John will sometimes change the set list like an hour before the show. So now I got to go out to my quad, power it up, and then like get in and change the songs around. Well, I wish that there was like a way that you could just say on the left side of the screen, have all your songs from a certain set. And then on the right side of the screen, just drag and drop the songs over. So there's the order. There's the new order. Okay, cool. Made the set list for this date. Boom. Like that would make sense. But no, you kind of got to get in and move them around and drag them. And and then it'll be like, do you want to swap these two songs or do you want to replace this song? Well, I don't really want to do either. I want to keep all the songs in the set and just reorder them. So swap will take one, say I move the 8th song up to the 2nd song. Instead of just inserting it there, and then you can kind of reorder the set list, it wants to swap the two or it wants to just delete one of them altogether. No, I don't want to do either of those things. What I want to do is just pull the songs around and move them in a different order. So what if you just had your master on one side and could start a new set and just pull them over and drop them really quickly? Here's the 12 songs we're playing tonight, or 14 or whatever, So little things like that. Minor. And I'm sure that's just software stuff that they'll figure out, that's eventually. And the reality is here I am complaining about something that like didn't even exist 10 years ago and was, it's like, it's pretty great, the way that it is. It's like that old Louis thing on, everything's amazing and nobody's happy. This stuff is, we'll always find something we don't like, but even with all these modern innovations that are so cool. Anyways, I have a really good time with the quad. It's weird to me that a 40-year-old speaker still sounds good. Do you think they sound the same as they did 40 years ago? No, I don't. Depends, Celestion has, they've told me like pristine examples of old greenbacks and stuff, like never used speakers from the 60s. And when I was talking to them about making IRs, they're like, yeah, like we have these brand new versions of old 60s ones. And I'm like, yeah, you need to make impulse responses of those, give them a little bit of break in and then capture, that, because who's got new old stock greenbacks? It's pretty cool. But I think the paper, it's more like the ones that have been used a lot, unless they were stored poor. I'm sure like they're vintage speakers that they've got at their factory. Probably they took into account like humidity and temperature, and they're pretty careful where they keep them and stuff. So that's kind of their, proprietary, or not proprietary, but they're it's like keeping old jigs or notes or things, company, I know the one thing is the paper did change at some point. There was a fire in the original, I don't know, something happened like around 73. Isn't there like something that happened at Celestion? I can't remember, but it was something to do with the paper changing, and then they never could make them the same way again for some reason. I don't know. It sounds weird to me. It's just paper. How difficult can it be? But your hands bother you. Stop that. No. I work in dentistry full time and have to use heat, ice, and constant stretching to be able to work. I've been really lucky with my hands, especially over the last 10 years or so. I've mentioned it before, but I've got a thyroid thing, that runs in the family. And so I have to take medicine for that. Before I discovered that, I was having a lot of hand issues. Back also when I first went to GIT, when I first moved to LA, I started practicing like a lot, and probably just some tendon stuff was going on, and just kind of out of the blue, that freaked me out. But it never got so bad that it was debilitating or that I couldn't play. I would just take ibuprofen or, sometimes heat or ice or whatever, and that would make it fine. But no, my hands, I'm pretty careful with how I warm up, though. I don't go on stage and just exert myself right away. I warm up slowly. And I find that, my hands can kind of feel like crap, and I can get little nerve pops and things that are not fun. Like it's like, oh, that's not good. Feeling it like right now in my elbow. I do have, a little bit of that stuff, but I find when I warm up, it goes away. So I'm lucky, I guess. Like as long as I play for 15, 20 minutes and I kind of warm up slowly into it, and I'm like, I can tell, like, I don't know about you guys, but I can always feel it. Like, there it is. I'm there now. It's I don't feel good. I don't feel good. I'm not warm enough. I'm not. And then it's like, I'm there. Okay, I can go on stage now and feel like I don't have to worry about my hands. That's how it always goes for me. And it's generally 10 or 15 minutes of playing, and then I'm in the zone. And I just don't overdo it or play anything too fast or like to exert my, I just warm up slowly, get the blood flowing, I think is all it is. So, yeah, that's my secret. But I will say also just one last thing about that, Paul, is if you do have issues, sports medicine people are the ones to go to for sure. I mean, you're a dentist, so you're in the healthcare industry, but if that was the going to those folks, and they'd give you stretches or recommend certain things or heat or whatever, they've seen it all. So a good sports medicine therapist is going to be the way to go, in my opinion. What small wattage amps have you plugged into a 412? I mean, I've done the even the little cigarette amps. Remember those, the cigarette pack amps with the little speaker, and they had a output jack, you could plug them into the cabinet. I've done that. I mean, PT15 I've used into 412s, 212s and 412s. It's only 15 watts, so nothing else really comes to mind, but I'm sure there's been many more examples. Yeah. Well, this is interesting. Ola, I guess, has some IRs. Join his YouTube membership and get them in Discord. That's nice. Maybe I should do that YouTube membership thing and then offer some free stuff. Competing with the NFL, am I? I'm doing pretty good. I almost got 340 people online right now, so I'm happy with that. Yeah. I have a very particular set of skills. Yeah, Liam Neeson. I will hunt you down and play guitar for you. That's creepy. Did you ever use a Mesa Lone Star? No, but the Lone Star, I realized I have played them before, and I realized that the clean channel is basically very, very similar to a Fender-y twin meets super sort of circuit. That wasn't anything that I knew for sure, but I just heard it that way. I was like, this basically sounds like a great Fender clean. So when I was doing things like, for example, making clean tones on the Line 6 Helix, there's a Lone Star in there, and I would use it, be like, yeah, that basically sounds like my PT100 clean channel, which is basically a great Fender optimized clean sound. A while ago, John Suhr was inside a Lone Star and looking through one, and I said, can you just confirm with me that that's basically what that is? And he was like, yeah, this is basically like the clean channel on your amp. I was like, okay, my ears are good then. I'm happy with that. So yeah, nice amp. Of course, Andy Timmons really digs them. At least a really good clean sound. So I picked up a Boss GT1000 core used after spending a little time with the software and IR loader. It really stands up well. Yeah, Boss knows what they're doing. No doubt about it. Hey, super chats here. I gotta do. I also shared Jeff Beck's birthday. Oh, no way, Paul. Well, hey, what's up, birthday homie? Have you ever played a car Mercury? Yes. Oh, but no, mine was the Slant 6V, not a Mercury. Mercury is a smaller one. I played it was a 212 that basically was a Fender clean and a Marshall drive. Used to use it when I would work at Linda Perry's studio, and quite like that car amp actually. So I'm sure the Mercury's you know, you've played it, but I haven't personally, but I'm sure it's really cool too. But it was the Slant 6V was the one that was a higher power thing. Nice amp. Then there's the H9 where the interface is very cumbersome, but the sound is so good. That's Lauren. Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. The Eventide, you know, love them, use them, long time user, H9 and H90, nothing like them, love them. Interface drives me crazy. For sure. Difficult. Once you get the sounds dialed in, though, great. And, you know, if you just use the editor, that's what I kind of resigned myself to, which probably sort of retarded my growth on using it by itself and being able to get in and adjust parameters. But there were whole presets versus programs thing. It doesn't really make sense to me. Anybody that's got one will know what we're talking about. But like even just, okay, how do I scroll through? Is it presets or programs? I don't even know. And I've used it now for like a year and a half. But like going from sound 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5, do you think I can figure that out? How to do that? I still don't know. I have no idea. What I do is go, okay, this is very difficult to use, but if I plug it into the computer editor, I know what I'm doing. And then that works. And I'll edit my sounds because it's always something very specific that I want to do. You know, I want to make a harmony sound for an Eagles song or like something, you know, I need an ambient, super ambient reverb or whatever. I'll make that and then store it and then program my switcher on the preset that I want to go to on my Musicom switcher. Okay, tell the Eventide to go to this because it's on the MIDI channel, blah, blah. Boom, there it is. Done. Unplug the computer. Now I've always got that sound and it just works, you know. But yeah, I tend to not, like, if I know I need to change something on the H90, I just get the computer out, you know, okay, here we go, you know, and then otherwise I don't really get into it and change things because I find it difficult. I do. It is difficult. You know, I wish it, you know, this is the thing with like with the neural, where I will say for a device that does a ton of stuff, I can figure out everything. Like it's so simple without a manual. And it's a neural DSP, you know, the creme de la creme of making things simple. They're plugins. It's very, very, very ergonomic. Is that the right word? You know, as far as just user friendliness and the way that we interact with things in the interface, it's really nice, really nice. We see companies go through that. I mean, Apple goes through this. It's like, you know, the other day in iTunes, or sorry, in iPhoto, I was just trying to find a photo album, an old photo album. I couldn't figure out how to get to albums anymore in iPhoto. I eventually figured it out. It's not hard on the phone on iOS. I can figure it out. Albums easy. In iPhoto on the computer, which just mirrors my phone, it's like, how do I get to this album? I knew I'd named it. I knew it was in there. It's been in there for 10 years or whatever. Think I could find it? No. It was like the hardest thing in the world. And they've got all this different stuff now, years, and, you know, organized by this and organized by that. And it's like, no, I made an album. I named it. Now I want to find that. You know, I should be able to just hit a tab that says albums and then boom, 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 and there they are, all alphabetical. And I just go to it, right? You'd think. Even in the phone, like, I don't know, maybe you guys can tell me, but when I go into the iPhone and I go into photos, okay, let's go to photos, get out of here. Okay, here we go. There's the albums tab. Great, there it is. Why are they not organized alphabetically? You know, here's albums, my albums. Oh, you can't see it because it's stupid. But anyway, you don't want to see it anyway, my pictures. But my albums, now when I go through, it's not alphabetical. You know, it's just they're all like random. Here's an Instagram album. Here's one that says Twitter because it was pictures I was uploading to Twitter. Here's one that says InShot. Here's one that says Sunday Live for when I was taking pictures for Sunday Live. They're not alphabetical. How do I? So I need to just scroll through until I find the right one. It's like, so there's this kind of stuff that's so stupid where I feel like, you know, each of us could probably make a list of 10 things with any given product that we interact with a lot, be it that, you know, a certain pedal or the phone or whatever, and go to the company. We just sit down and tell you, like, this is a drag, you know? So anyways, it's a skill that certain companies, you know, they really have it together when it comes to like making sure that things are ease of use and not needing to crack a manual is primary importance. So to me, Richard Garcia with a super chat, for the first time tried Neural, I think you're trying to say, plugins through my PT Wide 212 for the first time. It did a good job. handling a range of settings with the Producer plugin. That's cool. How did you power it? Just curious how did you run it through like a Seymour Duncan power amp or something? And then obviously you turned off the cab. That's fun. I've never tried to do that myself. I should try doing that, like run the laptop and some plugins and see what it sounds like. Of course, the plugins now are, they're going to eventually, they'll probably all be available. But if you've got a plugin that you want to use with the Quad Cortex, that's all happening. So it's interesting. As there's the first 2 available, and then more will come online very soon. Hi, Pete from Edinburgh, Scotland. What's up? One of my favorite places on earth. Just beautiful. I'll be over there in January with the Classic Rock Show. We will play some tunes. Always have fun there. What a great town. What a great town. I have been using the Helix to run up 4 heads or synergy modules through the FX loops. It has 4. Well, that's cool. Yeah, 4 loops. Yeah, you can insert and use them as a block, kind of a hybrid digital analog affair then. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'm opposite of Pete. I've always been a generalist. I know a little bit about a lot of different subjects. I'm sure that's got its advantages. Yeah. What else we got here? What's your favorite era of Fender amps? Tweed, Blackface, or something else? I guess I'm partial to, if I had to pick one era, it would be the amps from 63 or 64 through 67 or 8. Supers and deluxes and Princeton reverbs. But there's some cool, like the blonde amps or whatever, that are sort of proto Marshall sounding, like a blonde deluxe. Really cool. Through the 70s, it's good thing to know. I don't know if this is common knowledge, but like the Princeton never really changed. So Princeton reverb is all the way from it was introduced all the way till 80, I think, when it was discontinued. It's the same. So that's a little secret that maybe some people don't know. So they weren't cleaned up or anything like that into the 70s. Like a lot of the amps, the Fender kind of changed the circuit, and then the tone went away with it. So that's good to know. But yeah, generally speaking, I like the if I had to pick like a top 3, it'd probably be a deluxe, a super, and a Princeton, or a deluxe, a super, and a 15-inch vibro verb, Stevie Ray Vaughan style, something like that. If you had those, you could do a lot of stuff. Arthur says, YouTube just sent me a notification to let me know that you're live. Yeah. Well, better late than never. You were here anyway, right? So somebody in Vancouver was saying Axfx 2XL still viable. The Offspring was using their old Axfx's up till last year on tour. I mean, it's like they're a pretty big pro band. If it sounds good, it is good. If it sounds good, it is good. That's what I say. Well, I'm going to go pretty soon, but I was here a little late, so I'll hang another 10 minutes or so, and then I'm going to split. And yeah, and then we'll need to talk about next week. Well, let me just look really quick here at the calendar. So while we're talking about it, where will I be? It's next Sunday. I'll be in Italy, and I may or may not have internet access. So we're going to make this one a touch and go as far as the whether or not I'm doing a live stream next week. I return mid the following week, so like on the Wednesday. So 2 weeks from today will be a go for sure on the 22nd, but next week a little touch and go. We'll see. I will try and do something though. It'll be fun to do it from Italy if I could be sitting having a nice coffee somewhere or whatever, hang with you guys at 7 p.m. or something. I will try and do that. Probably won't be for as long, but let me kind of it's a little touch and go. Now on the 20 it's the 22nd, right? Believe that is the week I have asked Blue Saraceno to come on. So I'll put up a watch page for that. But gonna have a guest, first guest in a while. Haven't had a guest for a long time. Blues is, of course, amazing guitar player and wealth of knowledge when it comes to both music and gear and amplifiers and crazy guitar playing, as well as doing music for, you know, film and TV and stuff, because he's been in that world for a long time. So it should be a really fun hang. He's a Marshall and aficionado and guitar aficionado extraordinaire. So that's going to happen in a couple weeks. Watch for my watch page for that. I'm looking forward to it. Okay, what else we got here? Let's see. Where to put wireless in a pedal chain? Well, wireless has to be right out of the guitar. So number one, it's straight out of the guitar. It's first in line, always. Signal comes out of the guitar, goes into the wireless. What is the one exception? Brian May. So Brian May comes out of his guitar into a treble booster, Rangemaster style, that's built into a little pack that's on his strap, I believe, and then comes out of that into the wireless transmitter out to whatever else he's running through, probably a few pedals, and then into his AC30s. Now, why does he do that? Quiz time. Why does he do that? Why does Brian plug into a treble booster first that's got to be mounted onto his guitar strap? Who knows the answer? Paul Baker with a super chat. I recently played a handful of gigs with a band that required me to use a modeler instead of my real tube amps. I have to be honest, I found it to be less than enjoyable. Any suggestions? The number one thing that makes it more, you know, enjoyable and actually really pretty darn good is incorporating a cabinet on stage so that you don't lose the feel of what you're used to, which is some little bit of air coming from behind you, right? So even just a 112, be a 110 for God's sakes, but a 112, or if you can, you know, a 212 or maybe two 112s like I do with Five for Fighting. But yeah, you incorporate, most modelers have sort of the provision for multiple outputs these days, you know, in a way to kind of route multiple signal paths. So you use one output to go with impulse responses and speaker sim to the PA and everybody's in ears or whatever. Route that out. And then you have another output that splits off before the cab block or IR block in your modeler, and it goes out another output, hits a little power amp and a cabinet on stage. Now you've basically got you're pushing some air. You've got a guitar speaker there. Put it behind you, turn it up a little bit. Doesn't have to be, the tone doesn't change, so it doesn't have to be loud, you know, it just has to give you a little bit of the feel of a guitar cabinet. Makes it all the difference in the world to me. Much more friendly and fun, and a little feedback, and feels familiar. You know, I always say that the thing is, the issue, whatever, is twofold. We've gotten rid of the cabinet and we got rid of the tubes, you know, the tube amp or real guitar amp or whatever. Now we got this digital thing. So the bigger issue to me these days is actually getting rid of the speaker cabinet. I'm not a fan of that. I think that bands should always have a bass amp, and, you know, if they got guitar players, there should be a guitar amp on stage. If we want it to sound like a real sound, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. There is a search right on your phone. Is there? Because I can't find it. Search. Oh, yeah. No. Wait. Yeah, you're right. I know how to search for the albums, but why can't you just put them in alphabetical order? Why are the albums all over the place in iPhoto? Explain that one to me. I'm an old guy. You can sort by date. I don't want to sort by date, though, because a lot of my albums will be like, you know, combinations of photos from things over the years. Like it'll be like, Suhr Guitars photo shoots or like whatever, and it's like different, you know. I want it alphabetical order by what I named it. Should be something that's easy to do, right? We've been putting files and things in alphabetical order for many years. Maybe I'm just missing it and I didn't see how to do it, but the global search on Mac and iPhone are actually pretty good. Yeah, I agree, but I couldn't the other day. I swear to God, I was trying to, like, yeah, metadata. You can search for a photo and you might be able to find the date of, like, you know, or even the location. It'll work. But how about just in iPhoto, my album that I created in 2012? Like, should be easy to find. But anyways, were you a natural at learning the guitar or more well-focused on practicing? I wouldn't say I was at either necessarily. I would say I was just really into it. It wasn't like I guess my ear, I was just interested. So it's like anything you're interested in and that you really, I had good results early on with like when I would try and work on something and then I would figure it out and I was playing along with it and I was like, oh my God, there it is. That's what they're doing. And it was like unlocking a puzzle or something. Like it was like I'd found the secret, to how a certain kind of, I still feel that way when I'm doing some Van Halen thing. I had a lick like that last week. It was the ascending lick in Drop Dead Legs that happens in the solo at the end, that kind of crazy Holdsworth lick. I was like, what is he doing? And then I just sat and I isolated it and I slowed it down. I went like, oh, and there's this one part that's very chromatic and not in tune. It's not in key not in the key. Right towards the end of the lick, right before he bends the note up and holds it. If people know the lick I'm talking about. I was like, oh, and it's as usual, it's some crazy Ed thing where he does a slide and then he drops another finger below and does another slide and then he's up in the 10th position. And I was like, that's how he's doing it. And I figured it out all of a sudden where it fell under my fingers. And I was like, but it's very unconventional, and those little surprises are still, like, from a guitar hobbyist, fun, practicing, learning things perspective, still really fun for me, to discover. So I love that stuff. So yeah. Yeah. Ever played a PV Predator? Dude, I worked in a music store that sold those things. I remember those. They were the Strats, right? They were like the most basic. They were really rough, like, the neck but they were, yeah, I mean, it's a decent guitar. It was an American-made guitar for not very much money. I didn't really like them. I remember it was kind of like, it's like, anybody ever play a T60? Those were gnarly. Eddie did a number on, when Eddie showed up there, man, did he ever raise the bar when it came to, the quality of their guitars and the way they felt and stuff. Because their guitars were kind of just, a lot of them just were weird. Like, I don't know how else to describe it, but weird feeling, weird necks, weird, even the kind of the artist ones, the Vandenberg, it was kind of weird. It was like this very thin, small neck. And then the kind of the Kaler bridge on it and stuff. It was strange. It was getting better, but it was like, sort of weird. And then Eddie showed up and it was like, oh, boom, quality of the finishes, the neck. Like, he wasn't having anything less than, or at least not very much less than, what the Music Bands were and stuff. It's just not how he rolled. So have you seen the Steve Morse signature Engel? I haven't. I never played one or anything like that. I haven't seen one up close, but I know he has one. Peter's there. Killer Sunday Show. Thanks, man. Heard no videos this week, but 2 super soon. Yeah, 2 videos for new products. Oh, a couple that are really interesting, actually. One's sitting right there, and I can't show you what it is. It's right there. I'm not telling. Under NDA. It's fun, though. Really cool. When running delay in stereo, thanks, Peter, for the super chat. Always appreciate you, man. Thank you very, very much. Peter, I got to just real quick. Every week, hangs for the show, super chats me. What a guy. Too kind. Keeps the coffee flowing around here. Thank you, good sir. Delish. Just delish. When running delay in stereo, can I use the effects loop of each amp? Well, so technically you're going to come out of the effects send of your first head, the main head. Consider it the brain, the tonal, the master. You're going to send out to the delay. Then you're going to come out of the stereo outputs of that delay with 2 cables. One's going to go back to that head to the return, but then you're going to use the second head, the return. So you don't use the send or anything on the second head, but you are sort of, yes, using the effect loop. You're using it to patch into just the power amp of a second amplifier, and that's how you do that. And that gives you the stereo delay. Tone stuff on the second amp, you won't be able to adjust, like channels, because you're not using the preamp or anything. But the presence will work if there's a presence control, because it's part of the power amp. Master volume should work if you've got, some amps don't have a return master, which is problematic then, to use it as the second amp. It's always good to have an amp that has a master volume that comes after the effect loop returns, so that you can then adjust the volume of that second amp. But some Marshalls and stuff, they just don't, you know, it just depends. So yeah, because of the buffer in the wireless. That's correct. Treble boost needs to see the pickups. Yes, this was from our quiz a few minutes ago. So yeah, impedance, all part of the same answer. That is correct. That is correct. The problem is the pickups, guitar electronics, and the treble booster, they want to work together to become one circuit. That's how those boosters were originally designed. And if you put a wireless signal into a treble booster, it's low impedance. You've kind of decoupled the guitar and the pickups and all that, and it's not the right impedance, and it doesn't work. Sounds terrible. So because of the buffer in the wireless, yeah, exactly. In layman's terms, basically, yeah. So is the one case where you will find the wireless not coming first that I can think of, you know. And there could be a case for, you know, effects to be made like this, in my mind, like simple, you know, fuzz face, tone bender, etc., etc. Make them come before the wireless, you know, make them somehow easily accessible on the guitar, and then you could have those effects and use wireless. But I digress. Yeah. Wish I had more focus. I know, I wish I had more focus too. I'm going to have more focus. There we go. I don't know. I just thought I'd try that setting for today. Yeah. I know that's not what you were referring to, but anyways. All right. I should probably split. So one more super chat here, and then I'm going to go. I've got an aux and want to switch amp speakers without rewiring. Yeah, so you need a head switcher. There's a couple different ones. There's the one Tim Pierce uses. It's from Spain or Italy or something. I can't remember the name of it, but you can check out his channel and find out which one that is. And then the other one that's quite common you'll find is up there, the 88S from Ampete. You see it in the top of my rack up there. You can switch up to 8 amplifiers into 8 speaker cabs or loads. So you can run 8 amps into your aux, and it works like a charm. It's really good. So they make a 4 amp one and an 8 amp one, I think. So with a few other different features. So look at the Ampete switcher. Yeah. All right, you guys, I got to split. Everybody have a great week. And once again, I'll see if I can go live next Sunday when I'm out in Italy. I think I'll be done my work and just kind of chilling then, so it's quite possible. But I just got to make sure that I'm not in a place with bad internet or whatever, and probably put it together and make it happen. Who knows? Could be interesting. Maybe I'll be eating pasta or at some sort of historical site. All right, everybody. Love y'all. Be nice to one another. Have a terrific week, and keep on rocking. See ya.